The Young Turks is a political news channel I came across quite a while ago. I thought it was something new and exciting at the time and that it might have been legit, that they gave real stories, and either it was a mistake or a glorious revelation, but I happened to click on one of their videos and then watched a few more and concluded that they're not great. In fact, they're not even a little good. They seem to take news stories and twist them into something that suits them. They post videos every hour, if not every few hours in a day, which to me takes away the substance of a video. It's just not good journalism. So I wanted to show you guys a video they did compared to the actual video that was shown on Tucker Carlson. First, I thought that these people did satire and jokes because that's what it started out as to me. I thought they were joking around until I saw the actual video and realized that they're being serious, which yay to me means I can do a video on them.
Tucker Carlson is one of the most popular hosts on Fox News. He has an audience, theoretically, of a few million people every single night. And on the mainstream media, including Fox News, climate change doesn't get talked about very much. And perhaps that's actually not the worst case scenario, because it turns out that when people like Tucker Carlson talk about climate change, it's actually less productive than silence. Here he is talking about a recent study that doesn't have anything to do with climate change, yet he is going to tie into climate change to make the researchers look like fools.
To be fair, the researchers don't have to be made to look like fools. Their research speaks for itself.
So what's to blame for this world-ending cataclysm? Well, a new research paper has the answer. It is, you're not going to be surprised, toxic masculinity. That's causing global warming. The paper argues that being environmentally conscious is a stereotypically feminine trait, so men, in response, assert their masculinity by deliberately destroying the environment and hogging the remote. They drive gas guzzlers, use plastic bags, they light things on fire. This is what men do. If we want to save the environment, we have to suppress men. It's like World War II, sort of.
Okay, so
I agree.
Can I say?
Yeah, but he's obviously being a little bit sarcastic.
Yes.
That sounds great. Oh, right. Okay, no, that's a bad thing. We shouldn't suppress men.
Okay, so you're going to be shocked to find out that the study didn't say any of those things.
No, I'm not shocked to find that the research didn't say any of those things, because I'm smart enough to know that the research would not say any of those things. I also know that Tucker was making fun of them because the research was so ridiculous.
No. So we're going to break down all the ways that he has totally mischaracterized the study purposefully.
As I would.
But first, that's not the craziest, at least soundbite coming out of that particular episode of his show. He pivoted not long after to this.
But, I mean, how did we wind up with a country in which feminists do science? I mean, isn't that, you're sort of bound to get a study like this, right?
So that one doesn't take an actual study to explain how feminists are allowed to do science in the US. But AOC responded on Twitter by saying, democracy and civil rights is how we got a country where, quote, feminists do science. Also note how he's drumming up fear around women's rights to create suspicion around climate change policy. Tells you a lot. As if you needed to be told that again.
The rest of the clip is available in my resources along with the sources I'm going to give you right now. We know that feminism has a bad name today, so it's no surprise when the word feminist is used. It's used as a joke because really they are a joke. So when Tucker was asking how did we let feminists do science, it means that guys who believe in feminism and pretty much any other feminist out there is now tying feminism into science, specifically climate change. This is the study they're talking about. Dr. Aaron Brow of Utah State University co-authored a paper with professors from 4 other universities to understand how gender norms affect sustainable decision making. They report data from 7 experiments that included over 2,000 participants from the US and China. What they found was remarkable. However, let me chime in. This is an outrage and oppression, and there's no pride here because you're saying that there's genders, men and women. So the bleeding hearts of the world should argue that that alone makes this paper obsolete. But anyway, they found that both men and women associated doing something good for the environment with being more feminine. And when men's gender identity was threatened, they tried to reassert their masculinity through environmentally damaging choices. You can pause and read the rest for yourself. In this article, vulnerable. It also states that climate damage is riven with toxic masculinity, a new exhibition argues. These are artists who decided to express themselves by showing how guys damage our system. Climate change is a man-made crisis in every sense, with male-dominated culture fueling damaging behaviors while women and girls disproportionately pay the price. Experts say women and girls suffer more than men from the effects of climate change. According to the United Nations, they account for 80% of those displaced as a result, and their vulnerabilities are exposed during disasters. But wait a minute, I thought that women and feminists were super strong. They were equal to men. They can do anything. They can survive anything. They can be anything. They are strong. They are tough. So why are they suddenly vulnerable? I thought they had no vulnerabilities. A study from Yale says that guys put off environmentalism because they see it as feminist. Women on every metric you can think of generally are more environmentally friendly. They are more likely to recycle, they litter less, they are more likely to buy an electric car, they are more likely to vote for politicians who care about the environment. But what about bat gender? Don't you think bat gender would do the same thing? This is racially fueled and gender inequality fueled because it's only men and women. How dare you? Evil snakes who only say there are two genders. Notice how there are only two genders when it suddenly matters. Here's the actual clip, and notice how they make fun of this. They are making fun of it. The Young Turks took it literally and seriously, and they thought that Tucker Carlson and this guy were saying things about the paper that were not true. What they were actually doing was mocking it, so they put it in their own words because it really sounds ridiculous.
Democrats are united on one question. Climate change is bad, very bad. As bad as World War II, in fact, existentially bad. We will all die from it.
This singular crisis that we face, a crisis that could, at its worst, lead to extinction.
If we don't have the bravery to take it on as the most important challenge of our lifetime, then we don't care about those children.
A life and death issue.
We are running out of runway to be able to fix this problem.
People are going to die. Habitat will be destroyed. Seas will rise. Insects will spread.
We're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. Like, this is the war. This is our World War II.
So bad, they're running out of adjectives. So what's to blame for this world-ending cataclysm? Well, a new research paper has the answer. It is, you're not going to be surprised, toxic masculinity. That's causing global warming. The paper argues that being environmentally conscious is a stereotypically feminine trait, so men, in response, assert their masculinity by deliberately destroying the environment and hogging the remote. They drive gas guzzlers, use plastic bags, they light things on fire. It's what men do. If we want to save the environment, we have to suppress men. It's like World War II, sort of. Anyway. Author and columnist Mark Steyn has thought a lot about this question. In fact, he may be adding to the carbon footprint just by his masculinity. He joins us tonight. So, Mark, what do you make? Is this the science that you grew up with?
Well, I confess I was at first skeptical. If I understand this thesis, my insecurities about my masculinity are causing rising sea levels in the Maldives. And at first I didn't really buy that, but as I think about it, I think, in fact, it's actually one of the least risible climate science theses of recent years. So I'm kind of on board with where they're going on this.
But, I mean, how did we wind up with a country in which feminists do science? I mean, isn't that, we're sort of bound to get a study like this, right?
Yeah, I think in fact it's very difficult to tell with social science, as with climate science, whether or not it's an ingenious parody. It's almost impossible to tell, in fact. But I think this goes back to, I think the important point here is toxic masculinity. They're saying that they did a survey here, this is the kind of hardcore science behind it, in which they gave someone a Walmart gift card, and it was pink and had lots of flowery patterns on it. So it looked a bit girly, looked a bit sissy, looked a bit milk toast, panty waist. So the guy given this gift card went out and bought a lot of very macho, masculine things that melt the polar ice caps. Whereas if you give him something, he's so impressionable, this toxically masculine male, that if you give him a masculine type card, he just thinks, oh, that's really nice. And he goes out and he buys a Sierra Club tote bag and saves the planet. This is the kind of social science that the higher education institutions of America are spending a fortune investigating.
I thought climate science was all about ice core samples, but it's about Walmart gift cards.
No, that's ridiculous, because basically climate science is a state of mind. So that if you want to go out, you can go and take tree ring samples in the middle of nowhere if you want, but that's for losers. The big bucks are doing a survey where, in fact, you decide that what's heating up the planet is men. A couple of weeks ago on this show, Tucker, you had a report that they were introducing vegetarian days in the New York City schools because red meat has toxically masculine overtones. And basically, if you look at half the stories you cover every night, toxic masculinity is the sort of underlying subtext of it. So basically, when Jerry Brown says we all have to be worried because insects will spread, I mean, these guys are literally predicting a plague of locusts now. And the only good thing about the plague of locusts is that they'll kill all the men. If Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's flatulent Holsteins don't get us first. But between the plague of locusts and the plague of flatulent Holsteins, toxically masculine men will be over, and then the planet will be saved.
This is just, I wish there was a Latin term for government by unhappy, crazy people, because that's what we're witnessing now. Mark Stein, as long as we're having a revolution, I'm glad you're here to chronicle it with us. Thank you.
If you like this video, subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Make sure your notification bell is turned on so you can get updates for new videos and answers to your comments.
Educate yourself!